Hey YA nerds, Reading Rue here, talking to you today about this awesome book I just read called All Out. It's by Saundra Mitchell. It came out this year, February 27th, 2018, and it is 368 pages. So about that medium size that a lot of you guys kind of like. Not too short, not too long, good to read in a couple of days if you are a quick reader. Not so much if you are a slow reader, but yeah. So I'm uploading this like late because I am literally the worst, and you guys will probably barely hear me because the AC is cranking. I would have gotten this up on time last week, but I suddenly got lazy and didn't want to do anything. Yeah. And now that school is starting back up for me again, I'm not really sure when I'm going to have time to do videos, so I don't know why I did that to myself, but I did that to myself. So I'm going to try to upload this one earlier in the week and then the next one later in the week. I'm still debating what I want to do. Now that Pride Month is over, I kind of still want to do some gay books. So I'm probably going to do some more gay books, and we'll just make this like the Pride Summer or something. That's just what we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it Pride Summer because I said so. So there. And I'm gonna try to keep updating every week. We'll see what happens. But anyway, so again, this is All Out. It's an anthology. It's edited by Saundra Mitchell, but it's got a lot of really good authors in here, so I'm gonna read them to you guys because you may like some of them. Probably I liked a lot of them. Dahlia Adler, Sarah Farazin, Tessa Gratton, Sean David Hutchinson, I did one of his books earlier, Cody Keplinger, Mackenzie Lee, Melinda Lowe, Nyla McGruger, Anna Marie McLemore, Teller K. Mejia, Natalie C. Parker, Alex Sanchez, Kate Skelsa, Tess Sharp, Robin Talley, Scott Tracy, and Elliot Wake. So that's all the people in this book. Again, really awesome. The byline says, "Though no longer secret stories of queer teens throughout the ages." So perfect for us to end Pride Month on, because it's not ending. Anyway. So, here we go. Here's the plot. Take a journey through time and genres and discover a past where queer figures live, love, and shape the world around them. 17 of the best young adult authors across the queer spectrum have come together to create a collection of beautifully written, diverse historical fiction for teens. From a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood set in war-torn 1870s Mexico, featuring a transgender soldier, to two girls falling in love while mourning the death of Kurt Cobain. Forbidden love in a 16th century Spanish convent, or an asexual girl discovering her identity amid the 1970s roller disco scene. All Out tells a diverse range of stories across culture, time periods, and identities, shedding light on an area of history often ignored or forgotten. So the basic premise of this book is queer people exist everywhere throughout time, anywhere, everywhere, anytime. So there you go. As for my thoughts on this book, I'm starting to learn new things about myself every day. Turns out I love anthologies. You know, it's official now. Totally am in love with anthologies. I actually have a couple of queer anthologies that are just off camera over here that I'm probably going to dive into at some point when I have time in the next couple of weeks while I'm doing school and work and all that jazz. So, you know, I have a lot of them waiting in the wings. There's even this really awesome queer anthology coming out that's graphic novel based, and that one's supposed to be really interesting. I think it's called Twisted Romance, so I have my eye on a lot of these things. So, you know, this book also really exceeded my expectations, because while I do love anthologies, sometimes you get them and you're like, this story stinks. What the heck's with this story? Why am I reading this book? I did not have that reaction to this book at all. This book was amazing, you know, and I know a couple of the authors who wrote for it, like Mackenzie Lee and Sean David Hutchinson. I've reviewed them before, so to see them write in short story form was really cool and interesting. You know, they also had like really great representation just across the board. You heard me say when we were reading the plot that, you know, they had a transgender soldier in one of the ones in Mexico. He's French. He falls in love with a Mexican woman, girl, who's adorable. They're both adorable. All of the love stories were great, and there were a lot of them, so it was awesome. I love it. You know, it was really cool to see all these different people across the LGBTQA plus spectrum, and also to see all these people who are differently abled, or who are different races and different ages, everything across the board. It was really cool. You know, this kind of book is all you could ever want from representation, in my opinion, and the best part was it didn't feel forced at all. It felt really natural. It felt like these characters belonged where they were. These authors did a really great job making all of their characters believable, making everything work the way it should work. So I appreciate that. Loved it. You know, I think everyone should read this book. It's one of those books that I think everyone should read, so you should read it. You know, and I think this is definitely another cool book that you can read with friends and discuss. I kind of want my book club to read it, even though I've already read it, and that's one of the rules. I may just reread it and have them read it, and maybe I'll just pass it along to different friends, and just everyone should read it. I'm going to make all my friends read it. You should make all your friends read it. So that's how I feel about this book. Just because this book is anthologies doesn't mean it has a million tropes, which is kind of good. A lot of stories fall into a lot of the same tropes, which is not a bad thing, but it is a good way for me to talk about the book and to describe different things in the book. If you guys don't know what the tropes are, you've never seen one of my videos before, whatever, these are things that I've compiled or found online or made with other people. They're basically genre labels, I want to call them, for the different books that I read. A lot of them are cliche, some of them are random made up, and things that I found funny. So anytime I mention tropes in a video, you'll find a description of them down below in the description. Description of the tropes in the description. So just scroll down there if you're ever confused about what I'm talking about when I say things like dystopian future, or escapist fiction, or only one friend in the world. You'll find them down below. Someday, eventually, I will have a book that has all the tropes. I hope that never happens. But anyway, so the tropes for this book are wrecking ball endings, strong/smart female protagonist, broken family units, beautiful first lines, youths in danger, love at first sight, undiscovered powers, and switching point of view. For my rating of this book, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10! Shocker! I'm gonna totally read it again. Also, as a note, I read this book in like 3 days. And by that I mean like not 72 hours, I mean like I picked it up for 5 hours one day, I picked it up for another couple hours the next day, and then I finished it in the next couple hours the day after that. So it's a quick read. Again, I'm probably gonna read it again. I just gave it a 10 out of 10, so chances are I'm gonna read it again. So, yeah, 10 out of 10. Do it. Read it. Read it. Read it. So my favorite part of the story was really hard to pick. I really loved two stories more than any of the other stories. The first story I really loved was actually the first story in the book, and that's the one that takes place in Mexico in the 1870s. It's right after, I think, the Spanish-American War. I could be wrong because I'm not good at history. Sorry, Dana. And it follows this young girl. She's got red hair, she's Red Riding Hood, she falls in love with a French soldier who happens to be stuck in Mexico. He like abandons his post, and the French soldier is trans, and their love for each other is amazing and wonderful, and I really loved their story. And you know, he gets captured by Mexican soldiers and they're gonna murder him, and she saves him. It's great, it's amazing, it's really good. Read it. The other story that I really loved was actually a retelling of Robin Hood. And in that one, Robin Hood was transgender, and he was in love with a deaf boy who was like a lordling. He was gonna be a lord, but he like ran away from home because he came out to his dad, or his dad caught him with a boy, I think. And he also happened to be deaf, so there was like a ton of sign language throughout the story, which was really cool. And they also had like some people of color involved, and their merry men, and it was just wonderful. That one was really good, and I think the ending is supposed to be happy. It ends kind of weirdly, but I'm trying to think of it as like a happy ending. Read it. We'll talk about it. You should just read it. For the age range on this book, I'm gonna have to say 14, 15, 16 plus. There are some sexual situations. There's not really any language that you'd have to worry about, so that's good. So, you know, 14 would probably be fine. Anything less than that, I don't know if a 13-year-old can necessarily read it and kind of understand what's going on. And again, there's some sexual situations. There's a ton of making out, but it's all good. It gave me the warm fuzzies. It was a good book. So yeah, so that's all I have to say about All Out. Definitely go pick it up. I know libraries have it. I actually got this from my local library and not from my job, so that was pretty interesting. And yeah, definitely pick it up. Definitely pick it up. Do it. It's hardcover for now. I don't know when it will be out in paperback. Maybe give it a couple more months and we'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's all I have to say about this book, and take care, YA nerds.